10:20 right now. Escaped from one rally. Might as well see what's around. Supposed to be at. So I came out to some wrong thing this was. I'm not going to that. It's not worth going to that because it's like, yo, like, was it worth it? That's my honest opinion. Today is stated Thursday, 12 o'clock. They have like a hearing for like, they have a rally with night class, but might not be able to attend that. It's at 12:15. So today is stated Thursday, and basically, so right here, guys, it's they have so they know that today is the day that is one of the days where they could completely veto this bill. Not, I put this on the floor, but sharpness in the way, then housing works. You have a pedophile here, right there. Sorry about that. In mass incarceration.
That will improve the lives of thousands of New Yorkers and strengthen the safety and well-being of our communities. Thank you. You've heard how this legislation will expand access to one of the city's most robust supportive housing programs, 1515. Intro 1100 addresses outdated and harmful rules that have made it harder for our neighbors to find housing after incarceration. You're all aware of how challenging it is for any of us to find a home in the city that we can afford and that's in a place that we want to live. Now imagine how much more difficult that is for our neighbors returning from Rikers, who are often navigating this with limited resources and support. Too often, our neighbors leaving Rikers get trapped in a cycle of homelessness and incarceration without ever receiving the services and support they need to stabilize their lives. This cycle does not help people. This cycle is ineffective. This cycle is costly for New York taxpayers, and this cycle makes our communities less safe. And we have to remember that people, especially those who are struggling, are not dispensable. Right? For many people leaving incarceration, supportive housing is the solution. It's a proven intervention that offers healthy and stable transitions to housing after incarceration. It increases housing retention, decreases recidivism, and in the past, city leaders have recognized how well supportive housing works and have allocated resources to make that supportive housing available. However, despite these investments, outdated eligibility criteria have created barriers. According to the most recent LO3 report, over 700 people exiting Rikers were deemed eligible for supportive housing, yet fewer than 3% were referred to available units.
Right.
So, and that's why CSH supports Intro 1100. It will make it easier for an estimated 2,600 individuals detained on Rikers each year to access supported housing. Intro 1100 changes the eligibility criteria so that time spent in Rikers will count as time spent experiencing homelessness. Because why? Jail is not a home. Today's vote at City Hall is the result of years of hard work and collaboration by advocates, impacted individuals, and we must ensure that people leaving Rikers are not forced to languish in shelters or on the streets before being deemed homeless enough to qualify for housing. If passed, Intro 1100 will help thousands of New Yorkers find stability and dignity and the support that they need to thrive. Because everyone in this city deserves a place to call home. Again, we are so grateful to Councilmember Rivera and the co-sponsors on this bill, and we look forward to working with the administration once it passes to continue the work of ensuring that the folks that are most in need of the most robust resources the city has to offer can access them. Lastly, I'd be remiss if I did not thank our Jail Is Not a Home Steering Committee, an incredible of advocates and dedicated stakeholders who have helped shape and form this legislative effort. Thank you. So we know housing works, shelters don't. Housing works, shelters don't. Housing works, shelters don't.
Housing work, thank you. I want to bring up our public advocate. Is no stranger to this movement. He has been with us time and time again, and I am proud to call him a colleague and a friend, public advocate Jim.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Councilmember Rivera, for your leadership on this issue, and to the advocates, to my colleagues who are here. It's always been interesting to me. I think everybody agrees on certain things. Everybody knows certain things. One of that is that for people to be most successful when they leave incarceration, they should have access to work and housing. But that has always been the thing we've made the hardest for them to get. And then we're shocked when recidivism does not go the way that we want it to go. I'm still stuck on the fact that we are in such a place in our minds that we have to convince people that jail is not a home. That's just something we should just understand, that if you're in jail, you're not at home. You're not in a place that is comforting. You're not in a place that is going to help you. And as was said, imagine trying to find a home you could afford if you have been incarcerated. Imagine trying to find a place you can afford with all the extra barriers if you have been incarcerated. And then imagine trying to do that if you are also dealing with mental illness or substance abuse. It's a setup of a cycle for failure. And what aggravates me the most is that the cycle that is there actually works less, but costs more. It doesn't make any sense. We're spending more money on a system that produces less results. And what we know, as I said, a third of the folks going into incarceration were housing unstable to begin with. We know that's an issue that we have to deal with. We agree that's an issue we have to deal with, and yet we're struggling to deal with it. This is ridiculously common sense. To make sure that if you were struggling before and you're not at home, you should be considered homeless. I love the word not homelessness enough. For some reason, being in jail wasn't homelessness enough. This is a small change that will have dramatic impact. And I think that is the best of what government should be doing. And seeing that happen in combinations with advocates warms my heart in a time and space where there's not a lot of things there to warm our hearts. So I just want to say thank you for coming together to do this common sense thing that's going to help so many people. 3% of 700 folks is ridiculous. Doesn't keep us safe, never has. This is actually a public safety bill, and I can't wait to see it implemented. And hopefully, I don't want to get people in trouble, but hopefully we'll have a mayor that actually is going to implement it. That's
dream about the city that we want, right? this might be voted on in the criminal justice committee, but it's very much a public safety bill, it's a housing bill. This really brings together the things that I have been the most passionate about over my tenure and my time in the council. I really couldn't have done this work without all of the brilliant minds behind me. And I want to bring up Helen Taylor from the Fortune Society.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I am so happy and so grateful to be here this morning among all these smiling faces. We had to fight for supportive housing. With that, I'm going to share a little bit on what it's done for me, the difference that it made in my life. Again, I'm grateful to be here, leaving my wonderful department this morning, and be here with you all. It's important to me to share why other people who have been incarcerated, like myself, need to have access to supportive housing. Having my apartment, the very first apartment I have ever had in my life, has made a difference in my life today. Because it's a step closer to fulfilling my mission to a better life. It's not just a place to live, it's a tremendous amount of support and assistance by community is acknowledged. I am a part of a community. There are people that check on me. My birthdays are celebrated today. Woo! When I had COVID, people went out, brought me groceries. Plus, they have done so much more. Here in my apartment, working with such wonderful people at the Fortune Society allowed me to go from hanging out, sleeping in parks, to performing Shakespeare in the park. At the Duck Theater in Central Park. Me, that's me, acting on stage. Every night, but not long ago before that, I had to sleep and seek refuge in a public park. My apartment allowed me now to only be in the park when I want to be in the park. That's right. To perform and practice and to sit on the bench and listen to the birds. I am very grateful for this apartment and the people at Fortune Society. You really saved my life. And I am grateful that I am able to reach out and give back to those that are in the situation that I was in by advocating and more people to have access to supportive housing. I hope and pray the city council will pass Intro 1100 to make sure this becomes a reality. My story should not be unique. I could change locally. Everyone should have access to supportive housing. Access to the life they want and deserve to live. A life of dignity. That's right. Thank you once again. Thank you. Love is love.
Let's bring up our New York City comptroller, a fighter, someone who cares about the families of the city, ensuring that people live with dignity. Brad.
up one more time for Miss Helen on her birthday. I was asking her which of those amazing Shakespeare in the Park public works shows she's been in, because I think I've seen them all. She was in The Tempest, and I got to see her perform there. And then I also really want to thank just an extraordinary council member that we really got to celebrate today on this bill, Council Member Carly. More before the end of the year, but this is a pinnacle, like what you've been working on in this body to make this a city that's more compassionate, that finds housing for people, that brings people together, people's best inspiring selves to elevate and thrive. Like, it's an amazing, it's like very typical of the work you've done, and also a really great legacy to have. Thank you also, council members Avalos and Stevens and the Public Advocate. What a great coalition this is. Thank you to Corporation for Supportive Housing Network in New York, Fortune Society, Freedom Agenda, Vocal. What a powerful Jail is Not a Home coalition. Give it up for all of them. Lauren mentioned this assessment that is done when people are getting set to leave Rikers, and that's a requirement by law that when I learned about it kind of perked up my ears, because it's actually called a Brad H assessment after someone who needed supportive housing, didn't get it, and wound up suffering as a result. And so a law got passed at the state level requiring this Brad H assessment to see when someone is leaving jail, do they need supportive housing? Because if we don't give it to them and they wind up back on the street, we know bad things will happen for them and for the city at large. And so we do this assessment, and yet, as you heard, last year over 700 people were deemed to need it, and only 3% of them got it, and that means 97% of people who left Rikers on our watch, who we knew needed supportive housing, we let out back to the street and didn't give it to them. And that's the city that we're living in. When I then learned, thanks to this coalition, that, okay, well, one reason people don't get it is that we don't consider them sufficiently homeless because they've been in jail. I mean, it just makes no sense at all. And so to correct that absurd but utterly in need of correction piece of this Kafkaesque system, so that at least the fact that you've been in jail when you need supportive housing doesn't prevent you from getting it and winding up back on the street is a critical thing to do, and I feel so grateful to everybody who is leading this effort, so thank you for all of that. And then in addition to, one thing I do want to say is it's just worth noting what it means to live in a society where we have to talk about people's homeless history. That's not what we want, is for people to have homeless histories in our city. What we would want is a city, if we believe housing is a human right, where everybody's got a home and a roof every day of their lives, and we don't measure a status, which is how long they live without a roof, and use that as an eligibility criteria. So let's work for that city where nobody needs to have a homeless history. Everybody has a roof over their head. And look, we see what happens when you do it. When you don't do it, you put people in impossible situations where they are not well and can't thrive, and may wind up putting other people at risk as well. When we do it, not only do they thrive and have beautiful lives, they perform Shakespeare for you. What a better city that is. Thank you for helping me.
Brad. Unfortunately, it's like math that you have to be able to do to come out. You have to be homeless for 12 months.
Can't hear you.
I know, I'm sorry.
Come closer.
Come closer.
You have to be homeless for 12 months or have 4 separate instances that total 12 months over the past 3 years. So imagine having to sit there and add up and see if you are indeed homeless enough to qualify for housing. It doesn't make sense, and it's certainly not compassionate. I want to bring up 2 colleagues who have been tremendous champions of the criminal justice reform movement, but also for housing, our youth, our families. We're going to start with the chair of Councilmember Obviously.
Well, good morning, everybody. Good morning. This is a day to be happy and have cheer, right? That's an amazing bill. I'm proud to join my colleagues in supporting passage of 1100, a bill that is reflects a historic approach to rehabilitation, one that recognizes reentry should not just be filled with uncertainty. For too long, our city has operated under a flawed system of punishment without meaningful support, leaving justice-involved New Yorkers without the resources they need to rebuild. We all know who's been incarcerated, and we know the challenges they face in trying to secure stable housing. By ensuring this period of incarceration as counted towards supportive housing eligibility, this legislation acknowledged the truth. Jail is not a home, and no one should return to their community without the foundation and necessary tools to move forward. This passaging of this bill is more than a policy change. It's a commitment to correct a system that has ignored and urged a need for a long-time change. As a city, we can no longer reactivate and wait until harm is done before stepping in.
That's right.
It is about building a pipeline of stability, dignity, and opportunity. And from the moment someone begins, that is a re-entry journey.
Yeah, right.
Stable housing is the first step towards breaking cycles, preventing recidivism, fostering safer, stronger, and more compassionate communities. The vote today on Intro 1110 moves us into the right direction. I look forward to continuing to work with every New Yorker. And when we're in a time where we see in other cities the orange man criminalizing homelessness, this bill is a symbol that New York will not stand for that.
That's
We
right.
are a city of love and compassion. And that is what we are saying today, that we will not criminalize homelessness. We will not criminalize immigrants. We will welcome every New Yorker with open arms and loving support. So thank you all for today, and let's continue to fight and let everyone know and stand up and be a leader in the nation of what it looks like to lead with compassion. Fight, fight, fight.
Housing is a human right. Fight, fight, fight. Housing is a human right. Fight, fight, fight. Housing is a human right.
Fight, fight, fight.
All right, I want to apologize for my voice, okay? I'm not perfect. I got
That's
all
right.
You showing up.
We got you, girl.
Tell me about it, I know.
Thank you, Mark.
And look who I have behind me, beside me, keeping up and yelling and fighting for what's right. That's the best thing about this council is that any time you feel like you need someone to help lift you up, to support you, to ensure that you know that the hours you put in, tireless energy, and the movement that you give is not for nothing. It is for the people that need it most. And right now I want to bring up our chair of the Committee on Immigration, somebody who has been doing this for countless hours and weeks and months, especially Alexa Aviles.
Hi everyone, I'm Councilmember Alexa Aviles, Chair of the Immigration Committee at the New York City Council. I'm representative of District 38 in Brooklyn. So Brooklyn's in the house. I was ready to leave after this house. She said it all. I was like, well, we're done. And then I'm ready to leave again after Councilmember Stevens. And I'm like, we're done. They've said it all. But truly, we have to always lead with gratitude and really thank Councilmember Carlina Rivera and her team, because this all works in community and teams. So a huge round of applause to you, to Eddie, for the hard work and long labor of getting a bill to this point. And the truth of the matter is, and to everyone here, because this obviously comes over long periods of time of advocacy and toiling and having to remind people of everyone else's human dignity. And they're deserving of goodness and housing and services that are supportive. So thank you all to this whole crew here. I am just utterly pleased that we will be voting on this bill today, because dismantling mass incarceration dismantling this system is going to require real solutions.
That's right.
And what we see is often a knee-jerk reaction that simply wastes taxpayer dollars, gaslights people, and harms our community, and particularly harms the most vulnerable among us. And this is a step in the right direction. This will have real impact because, as everyone has said, housing is a human right.
It is.
And in order to stabilize our communities and people, they need a space of dignity. They too deserve a home. And jail is not a home.
Jail is not a
Jail
home.
is not a home. And it's so important to mention lastly, they not only want to jail poor people, they're also jailing immigrants. And jail is not a home for anyone.
That's right.
At any point in time. And so we are here to challenge this country's addiction to mass incarceration and profiting over putting black and brown bodies in jail for profit. Because that is what is happening. But we are here to lift up this incredible piece of legislation and the work that it will require to make sure that it is implemented with fidelity. And we will be here to make sure that that happens. And I want to thank you all so much for your work. Thank you. Thank you.
To Alexa, she said there is no living in jail. There is survival. It is a system designed for failure. It is a system designed to really oppress people who have already been marginalized and disenfranchised. So I want to bring up Tierra Labrada from the Supportive Housing Network.
Can I speak to you?
Thank you so much.
I just want to say that this has been literal years in the making. And Network, along with our coalition partners, have been advocating for the expansion of eligibility to supportive housing for people returning from jail or prison for years. And I really want to thank Councilmember Rivera and Eddie. Give it up for Eddie. For being a tireless advocate for the supportive housing community, for people impacted by the criminal legal system. This is huge. This is huge. And this cannot be done. This sustained effort, this sustained advocacy cannot be done without a broad coalition. So I really want to thank our partners in the Supportive Housing for leading the Justice Learning Collaborative that ultimately led to the Jail is Not a Home Coalition, to Lily Shapiro at Fortune Society, Lauren Velez. Really, I see how we work tirelessly to get this bill over the finish line. Tirelessly. I also want to acknowledge how important it is that we listen to people who have been impacted.
Amen.
Listen to people. Listen to Ms. Helen when she is telling you what is necessary. The network hosted a virtual city council lobby day in March where we were uplifting this bill. We had over a dozen people impacted talk about how important this legislation was going to be for their community. We need to listen to the people who are impacted. You have heard everybody talk about how jail is not a home. You have heard everybody talk about control by the people. But I really want to just stress how profound this legislation is in its simplicity. It is a one-page piece of legislation that just simply says that your time incarcerated does not count as being housed. Because why?
Jail is not a home.
Can we do the dance?
Yes. Jail is not a home. Jail is not a home. Jail is not a home. Jail is not a home.
People simply should not be forced to enter into the homeless service system when they are being released from prison to prove that they are eligible for supportive housing. It simply should not happen. One, it is a drain on our city's resources. It is re-traumatizing. It is destabilizing. And it increases the risk of abuse. We know for sure that safe, stable housing is how we create thriving communities. There are some critics of this legislation who say that we should not expand eligibility because it's going to bottleneck the system. And that is not a good enough reason to shut people out of a life-saving resource.
That's right.
Simply not. Simply not. We don't say we don't have enough resources for you so you can't have it. We are a city that develops the resources necessary and invests and prioritizes in the resources necessary to make sure that everyone has access to city capabilities. No piece of legislation is a silver bullet. No policy is a silver bullet. This is a step in the right direction,
But we need to make sure that we are investing in the development and preservation of supportive housing proliferating throughout the entire city so that every person who needs a home has one. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. As I said, this is actually a very simple policy solution. And someone who understands how to push forward common sense, comprehensive, compassionate legislation is Councilmember Lincoln Russell.
All right.
He's the chair of government ops and state and federal legislation, and his work on oversight and accountability has been incredible, and I'm honored to welcome him to the program.
I first want to say that it's an honor to stand with some of the most inspiring powerhouse advocates in the city of New York. So we give it up for all of you who have pushed the mission. A couple years ago, early in my term in the city council, I put in a request to introduce legislation along these lines. And it was no surprise to me that my friend and colleague Carlina Rivera was already on top of it. As is the case on so many important bills, especially relating to criminal justice reform, we have been just exceptionally fortunate to have Carlina Rivera leading the way.
All right.
Last night, there were 7,400 plus people sleeping on Rikers Island. Nearly 40% more since when Eric Adams came into office. And if you look at the data, with every week, the number of people on Rikers Island who have a mental health designation continues to grow. Last night, 58% of the people on Rikers Island had a mental health designation, have serious mental health needs. And yet, when their time in jail is completed, when they finally secure their release, there's no access to supportive housing. We know that too many New Yorkers who are struggling cycle through our shelter system, our jail system, and our hospital system, door by door by door, and nobody is helping as those rotating doors turn. This bill will make a transformational difference. We can ensure now that as people are exiting our jail system, that they can access the housing with mental health services that they so desperately need. Eric Adams has failed us too many ways to count. But one that is important that I want to highlight today is that when the plan to close Rikers Island was passed, there was a commitment to build thousands of units of justice-involved supportive housing. And Eric Adams has done jack shit.
Shame!
Shame! Shame! So this legislation will help us ensure that formerly incarcerated people access the housing and social services and mental health supports that they need. And we need to go further by investing in the justice-involved supportive housing at scale so that we have real housing solutions to meet the needs of New Yorkers. Eric Adams, of all people, launched the largest survey in the history of New York City at the beginning of his term. And it asked the question to me, for New Yorkers, what's the number one solution for public safety? Do you know what the answer was? Housing. Housing is the solution for public safety that New Yorkers need. When people are struggling and cycling through our jail system, our shelter system, the streets of New York, our hospitals, with no help, housing, truly affordable, supportive housing with the services that people deserve, that is the solution that we need. That is the solution that we deserve. Let's fight for it. Let's make it happen at scale. And congrats to Carlina Rivera.
Thank everyone here. All the things that we've done together to expedite court production, ensure we have a jail population to protect our community, to take care of our country on the other side. That's right. All of that I could not have done without so many hearings, tears, celebration. It's in my heart. Any questions?
let me ask you a question, a quick one. I know people will be opposed to us, like Susan Wong, who actually fought against the shelter in her district. The opponents will say that this will help increase crime in the areas that, like, this supportive housing will increase crime. What do you think about that?
I would say that the policy that we have put forward is evidence-based. It's holistic. Having more affordable housing, supportive housing specifically, makes communities safer. And I've talked to council members. She wants more affordable housing in her district. She told me this last night.
So they're opposed to a homeless shelter in their district, like they've
That's different. Thank you.
Yes.
It's very different.
All right, thank you.
Tandy, any
But
questions?
I'm going to go to Tandy and then you.
All right.
So what exactly do you consider is this like prison papers in, right
Court
examination?
order, mental facility, and jail. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for the question. I'm so happy. By the way, please check out Candy's work. You're an incredible person. And I'm really thrilled of how you cover criminal justice fairly and with dignity. All right, last question.
Yes, so with this new bill, what those youth who are aging out of foster care.
Well, this bill specifically addresses the policy change of how we determine eligibility for people who are experiencing homelessness. For those who are aging out of foster care, there are actually supportive units for those individuals. So there will be an intersection there. Right now you can look at Breaking Ground, which is a supportive housing provider. They have a building, for example, in my district called Lee, where there are units for people who are low income, as well as youth that are aging out of foster care, and people who are overcoming substance abuse. So there are units and homes for individuals that need the wraparound services. What we need to do is make sure that as many people as possible are eligible for them truly, and to keep building more of those homes. We do not have enough homes to address all of the individuals that need them. And so what we really need are bold solutions. And make sure that we have leadership that addresses supply, but also policy change that is rooted in compassion.
Hey, did anyone lose a cell phone? If you can tell me the number, I will give it to you.
All right, I'm out of here. Sorry about that. So. Bye, pedo. Bye, pedo. Bye, pedo. So, go off here.